Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today's the 20th of October, 2021. Alright everyone, let's get into it. So, the merge is coming. Another little mini update from Terrence from Prylabs on the merge. So you can see here that Prism, the Prylabs client, and the Go Ethereum or Geth client have synced to Pythos, the first merge testnet. So there's a bit of a GIF here that you can kind of like view if you want to. It'll be linked in the YouTube description. Basically just, a command line showing that they're basically synced to the merge testnet here. This is cool and exciting. Obviously, just a little update. But what I wanted to kind of focus on was something that I've been saying lately by basically saying the merge is coming. And I always have like a little panda emoji there because the panda has become like the unofficial, I guess, like mascot of the merge because of that meme that was shared quite a while ago by Xiaowei Wang from the Ethereum Foundation of like the two pandas fusing together, or at least the two kind of like panda bears, one white, one black, fusing together to become like an actual panda. And that obviously it represents the merge, right? The ETH1 to ETH2 merge. So what I wanted to focus on was whenever I say the merge is coming, some people kind of like have a go at me and they're like, oh yeah, the merge is coming, but like it's not coming for a little while. And people say, oh, it's all delayed now because there was Tim Byko kind of like said that we could see it. I mean, I don't think he said the exact words that we could see it in June of next year. He was just giving like estimated dates out depending on when, if the code was ready by Feb, we'd have like 4 months until we put it onto mainnet, which would make it June. But there's never been any kind of like mainnet date given. There's only been estimates and kind of like windows there. And if you've been around in Ethereum for quite a while now, you know that those estimates are just that, just like really rough estimates. They don't really represent a kind of like real timeline there. And the same thing happened with ERP 1559 as well, right? Like it's funny because I think at some point, maybe even early last year, people thought that 1559 was imminent, right? It was actually going to go on mainnet really soon, and then it still took like over a year to get it to mainnet, and it ended up going to August. Like some people thought it would be in July, and then it ended up being in August. But now that it's live on mainnet, no one really cares about it anymore. Like it's just there, it's doing its job, and I barely see anyone talking about 1559 anymore, unless it's to update, unless it's like a tweet about how we just, how much ETH we just burned. We're at like 580,000 ETH burned at the moment, by the way, just in case you were wondering. So I think the same thing's going to happen with the merge, but I don't like seeing people say there's been a delay, because there's not. There can't be a delay if there's no kind of like launch date given, and just because there's like a launch window given, or just because there's estimates, they do that because people keep asking for dates and for estimates, but also to give them something to work towards as well, to give them a goal, them being like the core developers and researchers and the community at large as well. So yeah, when I say the merge is coming, it literally just means it is coming. I don't know when it's coming. As in, I don't know the exact date. There is estimations. There is a kind of like window of time when it's to be expected. But I'm going to be saying this for months, right, until it actually happens. And I can't wait till the day that I can basically say the merge is here. No need to say it's coming anymore. And then the hilarious thing is, it'll only be talked about, I reckon, for like a few days before it just becomes like something that, okay, it happened, what's next sort of thing. People in this industry have like a very short attention span. So it's always kind of like, what's next after we deliver something. And I think that's what makes Ethereum so exciting, to be honest, is that there is always something that's coming up next. There is always a new kind of like thing to look forward to. There's always something on the horizon, whether that be from a project or from like a layer 2 or from Ethereum itself. I mean, after the merge, we have sharding and statelessness to look forward to. I think statelessness is not something that a lot of end users will care too much about. Maybe not so much sharding as well. But I think developers definitely will, especially when it comes to sharding. A lot of the layer 2 developers are definitely going to care about that because of the fact that it's going to lower their costs, and that will lower the end user costs as well. So yeah, lots to look forward to there. But as I said, we've only got like a launch window right now for the merge. I think Q1 at this point is probably not gonna happen. I've been saying I've been saying that I'm gonna keep you guys updated with my own personal estimates of when the merge is going to go live, based on the real-time information that I'm seeing play out. At this point in time, I'm confident to say, from a personal capacity, again, do not quote me on this and do not attribute this to anyone but myself. But from like my personal point of view, I'm pretty happy to say that happy. Maybe happy is not the right word, but I think it's pretty safe to say that Q1 merge is very, very unlikely at this point. And I don't think that's like a bearish thing or a bad thing. I just think that Q1 was always very ambitious, and it's just looking like it's probably going to push into Q2. I have said early Q2 before. If that changes and we push into later Q2 or whatever, that might happen. That could happen. Like we just don't know at this point in time. It's just too early to tell. But I'll obviously keep you guys updated on my thinking around that. So we'll see if it happens late Q2 and instead of early Q2. Does it really matter in the grand scheme of things? No. Even if it happens in Q3, even if it happens in Q4, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. As I said, like I feel like people just like have a very short attention span and will focus on something else. Pretty much like right after the merge, like probably a few days after the merge, it'll stop being like the topic of discussion and we'll move on to something else. But I can say that all the researchers and developers I talk to and that I know that are working on this sort of stuff, they all want this start to be done sooner rather than later. They don't want to kind of dawdle on this. They don't want they know. The funny thing is that with EIP 1559, there was a bit of like drama around it because people were like, oh, this is just a way to pump ETH. It doesn't actually do anything for the fee market, which is completely wrong, as I've explained many times. With the merge, it's funny because the merge is actually a bigger supply shock than 1559 is because of that 90% issuance reduction. And also, from that perspective, the same people who hated 1559 for, I guess, like being, or viewing 1559 as just a way to pump the price, should view the merge that way if they're being objective about it, because the merge plays a bigger part in kind of like reducing kind of like ETH supply. But the thing is that I think the I guess like importance of getting off proof of work trumps that for a lot of people. A lot of people don't like proof of work, especially in the Ethereum ecosystem. They think it's like been a necessary evil, but we all want to get off that. We have this beacon chain that has been running smoothly for coming up on 12 months now, and we want to use it. We actually want to utilize it to verify the chain. We don't want to just, have it there doing nothing except verifying itself. And I'm sure the ETH2 developers and researchers are very keen on that happening, especially because of the fact that they built this thing and they want to see it actually put to use. So again, Q2, early Q2, that might change. It might end up being like mid to late Q2. But at the end of the day, guys, like they're working as fast as they can. And I'd rather have a safe and secure merge than one that's rushed. If it's rushed, things could go wrong. And that's even worse than just like, I guess, delays. There's a famous quote from Shigeru Miyamoto, who I think was the president of Nintendo for quite a while, where he said, a kind of a rushed game, a delayed game, or something about a delayed game. I can't remember the exact quote now, off the top of my head. But basically, he said that a rushed game that's kind of like bad and with bugs in it, whatever, is bad forever, right? But a delayed game isn't. So you'll typically see within the gaming industry that some companies will rush out their games instead of delaying it and then just fixing it after the fact. But doing that means that the game gets a really bad reputation if it's broken from the get-go, and it becomes really hard to come back from that. You can see this with a recent game called Cyberpunk 2077, which got a really bad rap because they rushed. I mean, there were delays for that game, but they basically kind of like released it in an unfinished state, and now no one really talks about it, right? No one really kind of praises it. It was kind of like derided for how bad it was and things like that. So, but if they had delayed it for another like 6 months, right, or something to fix everything, then that wouldn't have happened. So I think the same thing goes for this. Like if we rush these kind of like critical upgrades out, it's not just, the PR, then brand damage if something goes wrong. It's also the monetary damage. Like there's a lot of value at stake here. Almost a $500 billion network, trillions of dollars being settled. We need to get this right. Now, I'm going off a little bit of a tangent there, but I have brought that up a lot of times before. But just kind of like wanted to clarify, some points around the merge there. So Facebook is planning to change its company name next week to reflect its focus on the metaverse. So Alex Heath here says that he's told Zuckerberg is planning a formal unveil next Thursday at Connext, the company's annual AR/VR conference. So it seems that Zuck is kind of like gunning for the metaverse. He wants to own the kind of like digital space that we're all, I guess, coalescing around and we're all creating together. And, I put out a tweet here, a quote tweet basically saying, let's keep building decentralized systems so that we can ensure Facebook never owns the metaverse. Because I personally can't think of something worse than Facebook owning the metaverse. I don't want some giant conglomerate, massive corporate company owning the digital space that we may all kind of like live in, and kind of corrupting it from the inside out, just like they've corrupted a lot of other things. I mean, Facebook, it's funny because like people have different views on Facebook. I actually view Facebook as pretty much like pure evil, if I'm being honest. I think they know exactly how damaging their platform has been to society as a whole, but they take their profits over everything else. And the funny thing is these kind of like institutions that have been really bad for society at large have typically been reserved to financial institutions. They're really, really bad for society at large, especially when things go wrong. They rip a lot of people off. They're very centralizing. But now we have these massive social media companies that are doing very similar things. I think Facebook is the worst example of it because they have such a large user base. They don't really do much to stem this kind of stuff from happening. They let conspiracy theories and stuff run wild on their platform. They let just like really crappy stuff go on their platform. And they also tune their algorithms to kind of like show people that sort of stuff as well, all in the name of like making a profit, which I consider to be pretty evil at the end of the day. Like making a profit in and of itself is not evil, but if you know that your company is doing something that is like very, very unethical, is tearing at the fabric of society in general, is just basically a cancer on society, and you continue doing it without any kind of reforms. I don't know. I feel like I know I'm moralizing here a bit, but I feel like that's kind of like a really shitty thing to do. Now, I don't, and for that reason alone, I don't want Facebook or Zuckerberg is the majority shareholder of Facebook still. I don't want him anywhere near it because what I feel like the position that Zuck is in right now is that he's got this massive company, right? He's got all this money, he's got all this power within this company and on his platform, but he has no political power. So he's not a politician. I don't think he wants to be a politician, but he has no political power over certain kind of like sets of people. Now there is a new kind of land being created in the metaverse. It's digital land essentially, where you're gonna have different kind of like worlds within there, and they could be countries or just like distinctive worlds or distinctive lands, and whoever owns those stands to both profit a lot digitally, but also gain a lot of power depending on how the metaverse pans out. So if Zuck decides, okay, well, I'm going to do a Facebook metaverse. I mean, he's already decided to do this, but if Facebook basically designs like a totally centralized metaverse where they have people kind of like sitting in there doing all sorts of things in there, but all of it's owned by Facebook, then in my eyes, the metaverse has failed. And we really, really don't want it centralizing around someone like Zuck here. So I think continuing to build out a decentralized metaverse is the top priority. I think decentralization is going to win. This is why I care so much about decentralization as well. Users may say that they don't care about it, or people might say that users don't care about it. But at the end of the day, I think that we should not only ensure that users care about it, but we should actually realize that a lot of users are just uninformed about these sorts of things, and maybe they shouldn't even be expected to be informed about them. So let's kind of like make the world in the image that we want it to be, and then these users don't really have to worry about it. I think with the internet started with these ideals, and then it failed over time because I truly believe it's because the internet didn't have a native value transfer mechanism, which we now have with crypto. Because what ended up happening was that the infrastructure needed to centralize because it was very expensive to run these sorts of things, but also a lot of the web centralized because of the fact that there was no way to really decentralize them, and there was no way to basically encourage people to run their own servers, for example, or to run their own email clients, or to do peer-to-peer things. The most successful peer-to-peer thing was actually piracy because there was an incentive there. The incentive, I should say torrenting. The incentive was to share files, was to pirate content, was to get free stuff, right? Now, I'm not going to moralize about if that's good or bad or whatever there. I'm just going to say that that's the incentive that existed there. So the incentive to build a decentralized web is monetary, first and foremost, because you can get paid for doing this. You can basically, for creators, for example, instead of using a centralized platform, they can monetize their own content on a decentralized one, and the money actually flows to them instead of flowing to these massive companies who just take all kind of like the profits for themselves. And then you can think of like more complex kind of things like file storage, which as I said, we had like a success in torrenting, but it was successful for, I guess, like not the everyday stuff. Like there wasn't people running their own home servers. They use Dropbox instead, or they use Google Drive or whatever. They use Apple Cloud and things like that instead of using their own home server. Yes, there are people that do that, but like the majority don't. Whereas if we have like a service that we can offer to people that is decentralized, so it's like Dropbox but totally decentralized, something like a Filecoin or an Arweave, where there's no central point of failure, where it's distributed, and you can kind of like leverage these tools to build other things on top of it, then in my mind, this is how we kind of like succeed at the end of the day. So I think from that kind of like point of view, we can now decentralize everything, and we shouldn't kind of like bow down to these centralized gatekeepers, and we shouldn't give them any more power than they already have. So let's keep building towards a decentralized metaverse. Let's not let Zuck win at all. I definitely don't want to see him win. All right, so Danny Ryan from the Ethereum Foundation posted another update in his Finalised series, number 30 here, basically reminding people that Altair is coming. So this is a very short update. But Altair is the first ETH2 network upgrade, or the bigger chain network upgrade, that is scheduled to go live on October 27th at 10:56 a.m. UTC. If you are a validator, you need to update your clients. Go do it now if you haven't yet. If you do not update by this date and time, you will basically end up on a minority kind of network, and you'll get punished for being on that network, whether it be an activity leak or maybe potentially some other punishment. So if you're a solo validator, definitely go upgrade yours to the Altair releases right now. If you are validating with someone else, if you're concerned, I would make sure that, whether it be an exchange or through kind of like Lido or some other service provider, make sure that they've updated as well and everything like that. But normally they will. But yeah, just very, very important to kind of keep on top of these things if you're a staker. So Patrick McCorry put together a great kind of like little, I guess like, it's not little, it's a pretty lengthy blog post here called Validating Bridges as a Scaling Solution for Blockchains. So basically, Patrick has taken the view, which I kind of agree with, is that it's all bridges when it comes to scaling Ethereum, because I've talked about bridges a lot recently, and I highly recommend kind of reading this blog post here, because Patrick does a really, really great job of breaking this all down. But the reason why it all comes back to bridges is, as I've explained before, when you are sending funds to anything that's not Ethereum layer 1, whether that be a layer 2 or a sidechain, you are using a bridge contract to do that. And I've explained how some of these bridge contracts are behind multi-sigs, some of them are completely centralized, some of them are actual kind of like, some of them are just IOU kind of things, where technically a bridge is actually the wrong word. It's more like you're basically locking your funds on kind of like one side and issuing an IOU on the other. And then there's also kind of like the layer 2 bridges, which basically allow you to, if they're constructed correctly, allow you to withdraw your funds from layer 1, even if the layer 2 goes offline. But whereas with sidechains, for example, if the sidechain was to go offline, you actually couldn't get your funds out of the bridge on layer 1 unless it was released by the centralized party, if there was a centralized party there, because there would be no way to send the message from that other chain back to Ethereum, and no way to bridge from that other chain back to Ethereum to get your funds unlocked on Ethereum. So this blog post goes through those sorts of things and goes through kind of like the different kind of like bridges and validating bridges and all that sort of stuff. So and like sequences, layer 2 sidechains. I mean, it's quality. It's a lot of kind of like information in here. You should definitely go check it out, because it's not just about bridges, it's also about the layer 2s and sidechains and things like that. But go give it a read. But I think it's very, very critically important, especially if you're like a bridger, like that meme, where you're basically making a lot of use of these different bridges, whether that be kind of like the bridge, the native bridge itself, or kind of like these third-party solutions that are building bridges. It's critically important that you understand the differences if you're concerned about your fund's security, which you all should be. And it's also important to kind of like make sure you know what the roadmap of these bridges are as well. Like, are they actually planning to fully decentralize over time? Can they decentralize? Can they actually function on their own? From my view, technically the only bridges that can, function on their own is a true layer 2 bridge, because the sidechains can't, because of the fact that the sidechains rely on their own consensus. The kind of like Validiums and the Volitions can't, the Validium, I shouldn't say Volition. The Validium or any kind of like off-chain data committee scaling solutions can't, because of the fact that you need access to that data to be able to withdraw your funds from layer 1. So from that kind of perspective, really a true layer 2, like an optimistic rollup or a ZK rollup, are the only kind of like, as far as I know, the only things that allow you to basically have complete security in your funds when bridging across. So yeah, anyway, go read this blog post. I'm not going to focus too much here. I want to get through the rest of the updates today. So WalletConnect has launched a brand new website and a brand new developer dashboard here, and WalletConnect Cloud is also live. So and this is for their V2 protocol. So they seem to be working on a kind of like V2 protocol, which is the result of almost 3 years of production use of their V1 protocol. So basically, WalletConnect Cloud, I'm going to assume here, if I just kind of like read through the post, is basically a cloud service for WalletConnect, which for those who don't know, WalletConnect is basically a way for people, or I guess like it's more of on the developer side to integrate it, but when it's integrated, you're able to use like your mobile wallet to sign transactions on desktop, for example, which, you just basically connect your wallet. Say it's like your Rainbow wallet, you connect it to the app on your desktop, and then you're able to kind of like sign transactions from your mobile wallet onto the desktop app, which I think is really, really cool. WalletConnect is sorely needed because it allows you to basically have like a hybrid approach, have your mobile wallet and have your kind of like desktop as your interface for interacting with these sorts of things. So it's really great to see them just keep building away here and release more and more new features. I think this is super cool, and this is definitely more developer focused here, this kind of like release, but still this is stuff that's going to flow down to end users. So cool to see this. So Spruce ID, the team that's working with ENS for the sign-in with Ethereum effort, have created a list of EIPs and summaries of all the prior and current work on signing and identity. So that informed their work on EIP 4361, which is the EIP for sign-in with Ethereum. So you can check it out here. Basically, they've got all the EIPs that they're, in the past that kind of like works around identity and things like that, links to it, descriptions about it, links to their Discord channel as well. So if you're interested in this sort of stuff, definitely go check this out. Check each of these IPs out. I think they basically summarize it here as well. So you can probably just read this blog post and get a really, really great overview of the history and kind of like the future of signing with Ethereum. This is something that I'm super excited about. And I always love getting excited about things that aren't, your typical DeFi or NFT stuff, because that sort of stuff occupies a lot of people's minds most of the time. And people talk about DeFi NFTs more than anything else, really, besides ETH itself, right? But I think that focusing on these kind of like, I would say signing with Ethereum is a Web3 thing, or like, identity and kind of, identity and signing and all that sort of stuff is definitely a Web3 thing. So, I love this stuff. Definitely go check it out. Definitely give this blog post a read. It's got a lot of great information in it. So Connext announced yesterday that they're unveiling Connext Explorer, which is the Connext Explorer, which is called Connextscan, which is a community project built by the amazing Queen Hippo team that gives a real-time view of the Connext network. So this is actually really cool. I love the interface of this thing. So you can see, once it loads up, you'll be able to see it more clearly. Yeah, it's going to load. There we go. So you can see here the available liquidity on Connext's bridge routers. You can see the total volume over the all-time total volume and the all-time total transactions as well. So what I find really cool is the amount of demand there is here, given that the liquidity is still quite low. So you can see there's almost $2 million of available liquidity, but over $104 million of total volume all time. And I think this is over just like a few weeks. Connext's service hasn't been live on mainnet for very long at all. So, and they're currently supporting a bunch of different chains like Matic and kind of like Arbitrum and XDAI, stuff like that. You can see them here. You can see the transactions, the volume over time, and you can also see the liquidity, the transactions listed here. And then if you go to routers, you're able to see the kind of like different pools or different tokens and kind of like different liquidity for each of these kind of like pools, which they call routers essentially. And then you can just click here for transactions, and it'll just be a list of transactions that are going on, either prepared or fulfilled or things like that as well. So yeah, really, really cool site here. Really cool Connext Network Explorer, and I'm really excited to see where they take this and see what else they do with this. I think it's going to be really cool because, as I said, like bridges are a huge thing. I think as more people use these things, they're definitely going to want to be able to look up their bridge transactions to see what's happened, what the status of it is, and making that easy for users to do, I think, is very, very important. So Element Finance has announced a monster Series A here, $32 million Series A at a $320 million valuation. The round was led by Polychain Capital and A16Z. And just as usual, this has become a bit cliche now. I have to say that I participated in this round as an angel investor because, I mean, I'm very bullish on the project, obviously, since I invested in it. I have been an Element Finance fan for a while now. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen me talk about it on the Refuel before. I have retweeted a lot of their stuff. I've been a massive fan of this project. And for those of you who don't know what Element Finance is, it's basically a protocol for fixed and variable yield markets. And I remember back when they first kind of went to mainnet, I explained how it all worked. And essentially the TLDR, at least for their initial products, was that you could split a token into its yield portion and its principal portion. So for example, if you stake with Lido and you get like STETH tokens, you could actually split the yield portion, which is whatever it is, 5.4% on ETH staking, from the principal amount. So you could technically resell each of those on an open market as their own kind of like token, and kind of profit through that way, and kind of do like interest do interest rate swaps and things like that as well. And I mean, they have a lot of products. I mean, if you go to Element Finance's Twitter feed here after all the announcements of their raises, you can see they've got like products with Curve, like Curve STETH, and you can kind of get like an APY on it, like a yield on it as well. And, you know, I guess Will was talking about it here. And you can get these as a fixed rate yield as well, locked in term, not a variable yield, which I think is very important, a very important distinction too. They've also been working with like with MIM as well, offering terms there. You can see here that the CRV MIM term, which is netting a 37.37% APY. At least that's what it was 8 days ago there. Maybe it's come down since then, as it normally does. So these sort of products are very, very popular in the traditional institutional kind of like side of finance. That's a big part of my kind of like thesis around Element and why I invested in them, is that I know that these products are huge in traditional finance, but also, you know, what Element does, it's a very kind of like quintessential DeFi project, is that it brings these more complex products that are only available to institutional investors, only available to kind of like people working on Wall Street and things like that, and it brings it to the everyday user. This is that. I mean, that's always what's excited me most about DeFi, bringing these more kind of like exotic products that just people that people like you and I have not have access to in the past, to kind of like DeFi, and being able to, I guess, have access to them. So yeah, I'm super excited to back Element here. And if you haven't checked them out, I highly suggest doing so. And they are hiring as well. I should give a shout out there. You can go to the link in their bio, and you can also join their Discord channel to ask more about them too. So yeah, really, really cool to see, and congrats to the team on this raise. So Polygon have announced that Outlier Ventures and themselves have announced a accelerator program to scale promising Web3 projects. So it's called the Polygon Base Camp Accelerator program, and is now open for applications. And the program is set to start in early 2022. So if you want to join this, if you're like a Web3 project, or building anything in the Web3 space, or want to build something in the Web3 space, and you need a bit of a kickstart here from like an accelerator program, you can definitely check this out just by clicking this link. It'll be linked in the YouTube description, of course, and you can also register for a Q&A session, and also learn more about this at Polygon's blog, which is linked in the tweet, which I'll of course link in the YouTube description. So this is awesome. I love seeing all these kind of like business partnerships that Polygon is doing with other firms and other kind of like projects within the ecosystem, because they really, this is their strong suit. Like, as you guys know, I'm an advisor to Polygon, but one of the strongest things about Polygon as a team, and, you know, this goes back to the Matic days, is that they really know how to do business development. They are one of the most impressive teams that I've come across in crypto when it comes to business development. They land deals, they release things, they do really great marketing. They just know what to do when it comes to that sort of stuff. And you know, the funny thing is that skill is in very short supply within crypto. There are a lot of teams who seem to lack business development. There are a lot of teams there are some teams that do it really well, but a lot of teams don't. You know, think about it as kind of something of an afterthought, where they're just like, oh yeah, BD, marketing, community stuff, we can leave that later until we've got like a product that we were actually happy with. And the thing is that I don't think that's necessarily a bad way of thinking about it. But at the same time, crypto is a bit different because essentially within crypto, the community and like the business development and the marketing basically strengthens the product like nothing else, especially the community. If you have a really strong and good community, you can build amazing products. And, it's hard to kind of like, sorry, it's not hard, but it's difficult and it takes some work to get to a point where you have like a good community that is distributed, decentralized across the world, but also works cohesively with each other. And there are sometimes communities that may look really great on the surface, but when you dig in, you realize that the community is really cool to hang around and really cool to be around. It feels like a party when you're talking with them and kind of like shit posting, but they don't actually get anything done, right? There are communities that are cool to be around, but then there are communities that get shit done. And I think Polygon is definitely in that camp where they just get stuff done. They release stuff, they get products to mainnet, they don't dawdle. I mean, they have so many products as well. So that's a big reason why I'm bullish on them and why I'm very, very proud to be an advisor to them is that I just love teams that ship. I love anyone that ship, not even just teams, like individuals as well, and all these kind of like projects. If you ship and you ship good products people actually use, well then your league's ahead of your competition at the end of the day. There's a lot of projects out there that just don't do this, and it kind of I guess puzzles me from time to time, but it makes sense. I mean, 90% of all businesses fail. You can expect the same failure rate in crypto in terms of like protocols and projects and stuff like that. Crypto doesn't solve or doesn't make it easier for a project to succeed. It makes it easier for people to start their own project, especially within finance, but it doesn't give them kind of like all the tools that they need to succeed 100% of the time. It's definitely, I would actually say the failure rate for crypto projects is probably higher than the failure rate for normal businesses at this point in time, simply because there's so much experimentation going on and there's so many different projects spinning up and not all of them can win. That's just not how how society works in general. So yeah, but anyway, a bit off track there, but definitely apply to this accelerator program if you're building a Web3 project or you're interested in building one as well. All right, so just a quick shout out here. Dune Analytics has a weekly newsletter that they just announced called Dune Digest. So this weekly newsletter will include top dashboard breakdowns, data stories on NFTs, DeFi, and more, and amazing work from their creators. So they're saying here that they're planning to pack this with value and send it out every Thursday. So if you're interested in that, you can check it out and subscribe at dunedigest.substack.com. Of course, this will be linked in the YouTube description. But I think on that note, I'm going to end it there for today. So thank you everyone for listening and watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Give that video a thumbs up, subscribe to the newsletter, join the Discord channel, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Thanks everyone.